right, so we are back in on the BS3 Sports Show, and we'll be talking NFC North with Jake Turner. We got him right here on the line. How's it going, Jake?
Fantastic, Ben. How about you? I mean, with all this political nonsense, it's great to say these few words. Time to get back to football.
Yes, definitely. We've all been waiting for it. We're getting closer and closer. I've got a good friend, Larry, who's been counting down the days for the longest. So we're getting closer and closer. We got training camp coming up pretty soon. So as we look at this NFC East, you know, we break down each team. Number one here, we've got the Minnesota Vikings, who were 11-5 last year. They lost on the wild card. But you can never count out a team with Adrian Peterson. I can see Bridgewater getting better as we keep going along. Adding Laquan Treadwell to that, the defense. But what's your thoughts on Minnesota going into this year?
The NFC North is so competitive this year, it's not even funny. I really feel like a lot of people are forgetting that this is going to be the black and blue division once again. But with the Vikings, tying with the Packers last year at 11-5, but taking the division was huge for Minnesota because that was the step forward they definitely needed. Their defense improved vastly. They just get better and better every year with Zimmer. I wouldn't doubt if they make the top 10 this year. They just finished last year 12th in taps. A lot of guys really stepped up last year, especially Harrison Smith, who I like to say is the next generation John Lynch. I mean, the guy hits like a ton of bricks. It's unbelievable. I love the way Eric Hendricks plays, and Anthony Barr is a good leader for the team. But the bottom line with this team, in order to try and get 12 or 13 wins a year, it's got to be the quarterback play. Now, Rick Spielman has done a great job bringing in Laquan Treadwell, who was one of the deep ball threats in college football the last couple of years. And even with that torn ACL that he had a couple of years ago as well, the kid has still been able to step up and be one of the best. Now, he needs to step up. Stephon Diggs needs to become versatile. He can run the slant, try and get the option going. Because he can't be the deep ball threat. That's where you got Treadwell. They got rid of Mike Wallace, which was a good move. But at the same time, they also need to realize this. They are a run-first, pass-last team. Get the ball to Adrian Peterson. Last year, he was unbelievable again. 1,485 yards and 11 touchdowns. But here is a stat that really makes me wonder about this team. 44. That is the amount of sacks that the Minnesota Vikings gave up to Teddy Bridgewater. So bringing in Alex Boone from the 49ers was a good move, but there's got to be more. We got to see what Joe Berger can do. We got to see what this offensive line is capable of, and can Matt Khalil step up like his brother Ryan did. So there are still some questions with the Vikings, but I still think they're going to be a team that is going to really threaten the Packers' consistency. Yeah,
I agree, and I think, you know, I was questioning that deal with Harrison Smith, but I think he's going to be. Yeah, I think he's going to be key though, because we all know when some players get the money, it all depends on what they're going to do when it actually gets to the season when it's time to play. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the Vikings are going to do this year. Now, as we move over to the next team, the Bears, the Chicago Bears, and I know that's where you are, so you got all the insider information as far as the Bears go. We all know Jay Cutler is still at the helm. That's something that I don't know if I'll ever be that confident in him. You know, you lose Matt Forte, so he's gone. You got Jeremy Langford, though, Alshon Jeffrey. You got Kevin White coming back from injury. So what's your thoughts on this Bears team going into 2016?
To be honest, they're a year or two away from starting to become a playoff contender, okay? Now, here's the bottom line with Chicago. I love the way they're rebuilding right now with Brian Pace. But the matter of the fact is that Bill Emery in 2 years almost self-destructed this team by himself, giving all of this money to Jay Cutler. Now they can't pay Matt Forte, so he goes to the Jets. Now, Jeremy Langford really stepped up last year, but he's going to have a lot of pressure on him. But I absolutely love what they've done with the defense, getting Leonard Floyd out of Georgia, bringing in Terrell Freeman, who was the Colts leading tackler the last 4 years. That's the kind of guy you want in Chicago. They're just supposed to be monsters in the Midwest. play. And with Vic Fangio and that nasty kind of mentality of bruising defense, I mean, you got to go back to the '85 Bears to find a great defense as good as that. And Fangio is trying to bring that back, bringing in Danny Trevathan from the Broncos. That was a good move as well. I want to see what they can do with the offensive line. They signed Amino Silu-Kolu from the Carolina Panthers. Started 28 games. He's been injury prone, but he's looking forward to doing this. They brought in Ted Larson. They brought in Bobby Massey. Massey is going to be a guy that they're going to be really looking forward to because he was part of that good Cardinals offensive line. So the Bears are finding the right idea on it, and I thought it was a great move on their part by giving Jeffrey that 1-year tender that was worth $14.6 million. Keep in mind, he had soft tissue injuries with his knee last year. You can't pay an injury-plagued receiver that kind of long-term money if he can't stay healthy. So Jeffrey needs to step up this year. And I want to see what Marquise Wilson can do. But I'm not going to lie to you, I think Chicago is going to have one of the best defenses in the NFL. And I'm going to tell you why, okay? Because I know a lot of Bears fans are listening right now and going, are you nuts? But here's the bottom line. Pass defense last year, ranked 4th. If you had a guy like Tracy Porter last year in his 11th year playing like he was in his 3rd year, you can definitely do some great things. Deion Bush, safety out of Miami. That's the kind of guy you want on this team. John Fox is a guy who can pretty much turn straw into gold. He's done it with Carolina. He's done it with Denver. He can do it with Chicago. It's just going to take time for Ryan Pace and John Fox to fix the mistakes that Phil Emery intentionally did to the Chicago Bears. I still think this team is going to be, they're going to be a giant killer. I don't see this team going 6-10. I see this team going maybe about 8-8, 9-7 at the most. I mean, you got to give this opportunity. They're going to make time difficult for the Packers. The Packers and the Bears are going to be a very good rivalry this year. I mean, you saw last year they split the series. It's going to be nasty again. We're going to be going back to the I guess you could say late 90s at times, I guess. But I might be wrong on that. But, I mean, we need the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers to be contendable again. They need to be a rivalry that it's must-see TV. And I think this year, it's going to be that.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's definitely going to be. The Bears are, always that team where you expect them and you want them to be good. The Bears are just one of those teams that you want to see good no matter who it is, one of those stable teams in the NFL. And I hope to see improvement, especially with adding, Kevin White back into the mix. He was injured all last year.
Yep, with that broken leg injury last year.
Yep, the rookie.
Yeah, they need him to step up. And I want to see what Cameron Meredith can do, the second-year kid out of Illinois State. I want to see what he can do as well. There is talent on the Chicago team. But I haven't felt this good about a Chicago team in quite some time because, let's think about it. Jerry Angelo and Phil Emery, these are not the best general managers. Emery was a disaster, but Pace has experience. He was part of scout personnel in New Orleans. Then he was in charge of player operations. This is the kind of guy that Chicago definitely needs. It's just that Bears fans just need to be a little patient because they need to find the word consistency and try and continue to use that word going on.
Yeah, that's what you need to see, and that's the name of the game right now for these Bears. Now, as we go over to the next team, the Packers. So the Packers are one of the best teams in NFL every single year. Aaron Rodgers is getting older. Jordy Nelson's going to be coming back, the veteran. They got the rookie Kenny Clark. We'll see what he can do, with B.J. Raji on his hiatus. I do that with air quotes. Who knows? He may come back. Eddie Lacy. So what's your thoughts on the Packers?
This is a team that needs to get 12 or 13 wins this year if they're going to go be the Super Bowl contender again. There's no excuse for the way they played last year. There were games they shouldn't have lost last year. You can't lose to a team that you have beaten at home since 1991. You can't do that. Now, I absolutely liked the draft. I thought it was substance over style once again. That's the way Ted Thompson does things. He always had. Getting Kenny Clark. That's the nose tackle that they need for Green Bay this year. Then they got Jason Spriggs, which they pretty much intentionally took underneath Chicago's nose because the next pick was Chicago, and they needed offensive line. And the Packers said, okay, we'll grab Spriggs out of Indiana. And the kid did a great job in the Senior Bowl. My favorite pick, though, was Fackrell, the kid out of Utah State. This is the linebacker that they definitely need, a young, contendable, hungry linebacker. Now they're going to have Sam Barrington back, and that's going to be a good thing for Green Bay. This defense was a lot better than people believe. They were ranked sixth in pass defense. If Sam Shields can stay healthy, if their corners can stay healthy, Quentin Rollins is going to be stepping in this year again. And if Morgan Burnett can continue that hard-hitting persona, they'll be fine on defense, I believe, because Julius Peppers, as long as he and Clay Matthews are leading this team, that combined for 17 sacks with Peppers and Matthews together, this is going to be a good defense. Now, the offense is the question mark. I love it how people are saying Rodgers had his worst year ever. Well, if his worst year was 31 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, I can't wait to see what he does with Jared Cook. Now, Jordy Nelson's coming back. Jared Cook, who has played for 14 different quarterbacks, will now be playing for arguably one of the top 3 best quarterbacks in the NFL. So I can't wait to see what he can do. Richard Rodgers last year had 8 touchdowns as a tight end, so he'll be stepping up. There's going to be a lot of 2 tight end packages. Eddie Lacy, that's the key there. Only 8 rushing touchdowns last year for the Packers. Inexcusable. Eddie Lacy went and did, I guess, P90X, lost 30 pounds, looks like he's ready to go, and they need to step up on that. Now, bringing in Spriggs, I thought that was a good move. Kyle Murphy out of Stanford. Now, those are 2 guys that they're definitely going to need because they're going to probably keep about 9 to 11 offensive linemen. They kept 9 last year, and it was a disaster. 46 sacks on Aaron Rodgers. That's inexcusable. This team needs to get at least 12 or 13 wins to become a Super Bowl contender. If they don't, it's a disappointment, and you're going to be hearing these 3 words again. I don't believe that it should be. The Packer fans are going to start saying, fire Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Don't ask me. But I think he is a fantastic coach compared to Ray Rhodes and Mike Sherman. Even though Sherman got us to the playoffs, Sherman still was one of the worst playoff coaches ever.
Yeah, definitely. You're 100% right there. But the NFL and really professional sports at the end of the day is a what have you done for me lately kind of league. So it doesn't, people forget that they won the Super Bowl. They've been in the playoffs every single year. I can't remember. I can't say how many years, but for the past years, and they've done it with injuries to Jordy Nelson. They've done it with not a reliable running game, really, if you think about it. They've had their moments. So yeah, Packers fans get back off on McCarthy. He's doing. I think he's doing a great job, and I agree with you on that.
I lost track how many times I've had to tell Packer fans to cool it on Mike McCarthy and Ted Thompson. Things happen. Losing Jordy Nelson was a big loss. Devontae Adams pretty much became hot hands from Little Giants. Couldn't catch the broadside of a barn. I mean, that's the bottom line there. If you don't have a legitimate deep threat wide receiver and James Jones continuing to drop ball after ball after ball last year, even though he had 8 touchdowns, there's a reason why Green Bay didn't bring him back. Not only is he too old, but at the same time, he cost the team a couple of really big catches. They really want to see what that kid out of California, Trevor Davis, can do. 4.4 40-yard dash. That's the depot threat that Aaron Rodgers needs. Now, I know he's a rookie, but you also need to watch out for the kid out of Stanford, Ty Montgomery, coming back from injury. They're going to come back healthier, and it's going to be a lot tougher than people think. I think a lot of people are counting out the Packers before they can even think about the season.
Yeah, I think so too. And you got to be careful with that assessment, everybody out there listening, because this is still the Packers. This is still Aaron Rodgers. He is still the best, if not one of the best quarterbacks right now in the NFL. So everybody chill out. Everything should be good. Now, the last team, the Detroit Lions, which I don't know. This is a tough offseason for them. Losing Megatron, one of the biggest and best wide receiver in the NFL. Matthew Stafford is now alone without his wubby. He doesn't have his best friend there anymore. So now you got Amir Abdullah, which had a fairly good season last year. You got Theo Riddick. Those two, that's a pretty good combination, I think. And also Golden Tate and Marvin Jones. The defense, I think, to me, that's going to be probably the biggest question. Also, they added Taylor Decker in the draft. So what's your thoughts on the Lions?
Love that pick.
Yeah.
Loved that pick. I absolutely loved the Lions draft. Now, do I think they're going to be one of the best teams in the NFL? Absolutely not. But they are going in the right direction. And the first step that they did was they fired Lions president Tom Malone and general manager Martin Mayhew. They brought in a guy from the Patriots, Bob Quinn. And Bob Quinn went right in there immediately and started cleaning house. This is a cleaning house type of season, all right? This is now when we're starting to get back for Detroit. Pretty much, hey, you're not just playing for a paycheck. You're playing for your job now. Now, they are going to lose Calvin Johnson, and that is going to be a big loss for them. You're giving up a guy who had 1,214 yards and 9 touchdowns, all because you were not willing to rebuild this team in the way that Calvin Johnson wanted it. I mean, I think it was a good move on Calvin Johnson's part to retire because the Lions need a new look. And this is Matthew Stafford's last chance. He needs to make or break here. If this guy cannot produce with Golden Tate and Marvin Jones and Eric Ebron, all of this talent, then this team is in a lot of trouble with quarterback-wise because he needs to start stepping it up. I mean, way too many interceptions to the point where it's kind of like kidna-like. It's getting kind of ridiculous. Now, you talk about the defense being the problem. That's incorrect in my opinion. That team finished 15th in pass last year, and they didn't even have the best corners in the NFL. They have a guy named Isa Abdul-Qaddus who really stepped up in the final 5 games of the season and really showed that he wants to start this year. And I definitely could see that happening. Like I said, love the Decker move, the Ashawn Robinson move out of Alabama. They're going to have back DeAndre Levy. And I think the defense is going to be a lot of fun to watch this year. It's the offense that is my big question mark. You talk about Amir Abdullah, yeah, he was fine, He was kind of a Leno, just okay. But they were still ranked dead last in rush offense. That's inexcusable. Jim Caldwell started the year at 1-7. Finished off the year nicely, 6-2. And that's fine and all. I think Caldwell gets one more shot. I want you to watch out for this kid, though. Ziggy Ansah. This is going to be a huge year for Ziggy Ansah. In his first year, he only had 7.5. Last year, 14.5. Don't be a bit surprised if you see him get about 18.5 to 21 sacks this year. Ansah is starting to become one of the best defensive ends in the NFL. Very slowly and underrated. I mean, Detroit is kind of a coin flip team. You don't know what you're going to get out of Detroit this year. I think their defense will be good enough, but their offense is a big question mark. So Bob Quinn is going to have to step up, keep doing these substance over style drafts, and see what happens there. I unfortunately do believe that Detroit's going to be the worst team in the division. Maybe about a 6-10 season, I'd have to say, for them. And I think Caldwell might get the boot.
Yeah, I definitely think Caldwell is going to be going after this year. I like the guy. I think he's a good guy, but I'm going to go back to right when Dungy left, and it was his job basically to lose. I don't think he was at the same caliber as Dungy, and they basically just settled.
Not even close.
Yeah, they just settled for Caldwell, and now you give him a change of scenery, and it's the same story. So he's going to be gone. He's more so a better assistant. Detroit Lions are definitely going through. They're definitely going to be going through a rebuilding year. I would be shocked if they, if they end up with a losing record. Their ceiling to me would probably be like an 8-8, and that's reaching, I think, right there.
I think that is kind of reaching. You got to keep in mind you're going to have Chicago, you're going to have Minnesota, and you're going to have Green Bay. And, you're going to have a team that's going to be 12-4. You're going to have a team that's going to go 11-5. You're going to have a team that goes 8-8, maybe 9-7. But I don't really see the last place team getting as single-digit wins, losses. I don't see that happening. I see about a 6-10 season out of Detroit. Because, like I said, too many question marks on offense. I don't see any consistency in it. And I need to see more from Amir Abdullah, and I need to see if Marvin Jones could step up in the number 2 position, because Golden Tate is now the number 1 receiver for the Detroit Lions. So it's going to be interesting, I'll have to say.
Yeah, and that's a scary situation when you got Golden Tate being your number 1. That's going to be very, very interesting with that one. All right, so real quick, I just want to go through and do a record prediction for each team. I know we kind of 8-8 is what we mentioned, with the Lions, but let's start off with the Vikings. What's your record prediction? With them?
I think the same thing. I think 11-5. A lot of things you got to keep in mind with this, just really quick, is the teams they're going to be going against. So they're going against the AFC South. Now, all 4 teams have gotten a lot better. Watch out for Tennessee, especially Jacksonville. They might have probably one of the best offenses in the NFL this year. And then Indianapolis got better, and Houston. Houston, in my opinion, has the best coach in the division, and that is, of course, Bill O'Brien. So, starting it off with the Vikings, I'm going to go 11-5.
Okay.
I don't trust Teddy Bridgewater yet.
Yeah, there's still some question marks there, so definitely. All right, now next, the Packers.
4-4. It's going to come down to 2. It's going to come down to 4 games. It's going to go against the Chicago series and the Minnesota series. The Packers have to at least sweep one of them or split it. If they lose one of those 2, then the Vikings will win the division.
Okay, all right. We'll see. I agree with that one, though. I think they're definitely going to be 12-4 or better, but we'll definitely see there. Now, next, so we went through the Bears, went through the Packers, the Lions, and then last but not least, let me see. I just jumbled up the teams in my head. The Bears.
The Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears. So I'll help you here. The Chicago Bears, I say 8-8. I say the Lions 6-10.
Okay.
I think the Bears are going to be better than people think. So that's how I look at it.
All right. Well, appreciate you, Jake, for coming on the show. Greatly appreciate it. Everybody, you can go find Jake at Jake Turner Show. Once again, Jake Turner Show on Twitter. Also, let the listeners know what you're doing with Chicagoland Sports.
All right, so I got a new show on Chicagoland Sports Radio and a brand new co-host. His name is Ray Cole. And our new show, Turner and Cole, is going to be premiering next Thursday. It used to be Turner Chi-Town, but I consider Ray Cole an emerging star as well. So I gotta hit that star and see if I can help him out. So it's going to be Turner and Cole every Thursday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. We will also have podcasts on every aspect of the internet with iTunes, SoundCloud, and Spreaker.
All right. Well, appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and footballs are coming, so we're looking forward to it.
Yep.
All right. Take care.
Yep, Ben, you got a terrific show. Thanks for letting me come on.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Thank you. All right, that was Jake Turner of Chicagoland Sports. He's got a great show there on ChicagolandSports.com. You can also, like he said, find the show on a lot of different avenues. So it's going to definitely be good.